I just gotta get accepted into the University of the South, then all my stress will go away. I just need to get enough financial aid to attend Sewanee, then I'll have nothing to worry about. I'm just tired because I'm at the peak of swim season. After conference, things will be much better. Life's just hard right now because of pledgeship. Once that ends, things will be a breeze. My classes are just really tough this semester, plus I'm overcommitted. Next semester, I'll be intentional about giving myself more free time. At my worst moments, this sequence could at times feel like my Sewanee experience in a nutshell. Being agitated with whatever number of grievances I endured at the time, and simply waiting for the next season. At my best moments, I felt deep gratitude for every celebration, every exercise of patience, every trial and time of growth, and overall every moment on this blessed plateau. The real journey for me, then, has been to reconcile these somewhat polar mindsets. Learning to accept struggle and hardship, and even appreciate it, is one of the most valuable lessons Sewanee has taught me. But the process of making progress in this area of my life has required deep exploration and continuously asking one question after another. When I say deep exploration, I mean that in both a figurative and literal sense. For starters, my first year as a Bonner was every bit of explorative. Starting off, all three of my sites involved working with youth, ranging from 8-year-old Cub Scouts to teenagers just starting to think about what their future holds after graduating high school. I didn't realize it at the time, but I have since discovered that I was drawn to working with youth because I understood the value of mentors, feeling like that was something hard to come by throughout my own youth experience. Going into the spring of my freshman year, all of my sights changed as I began working at the University Farm and became a member of the Bonner Leadership Team, or BLT. Transitioning from first to second semester as a Bonner student, I was plagued by many questions that related to finding my place and formulating my identity. Clearly, one aspect of those questions pertained to finding my sights. But these questions of finding my role expanded beyond Bonner. For example, I was torn over whether or not to rush, and I began to wonder if I could see competitive swimming as part of my future, even though the sport had previously been one of the most foundational aspects of my identity. The exploration continued that same semester, this time in a more literal sense, as I was chosen to join the Sewanee Outing Program on their annual journey to El Rio Bravo del Norte as we canoed and camped along the US-Mexico border for 8 days. 3 years later, and this trip remains perhaps the most life-changing experience I've had. Partly due to growing up in a small town in rural Tennessee, my perspectives were local in every sense of the word, and I had spent very little time thinking about the enormous but interconnected world I was a part of. Encountering a small group of people in the process of migrating brought to my attention just how little I knew about the world. Staring my own ignorance in the face, I realized that I wanted to become educated about the complex systems of the world in order to complement my natural strengths like empathy and relationship building. Fast forward exactly 1 year later. I've declared a major in International and Global Studies, and I'm loving the process of learning and discovering. But this time, I'm spending spring break in Trenchtown, Jamaica, instead of camping in the canyons of the Rio. Participating in the Office of Civic Engagement's outreach trip was yet another monumental part of my prolonged season of exploration. And much like the Rio, there's a memory from this trip that sticks out as a moment that would shape me. Over halfway through our trip, our group paused on the sidewalk in Trenchtown as a debate broke out among us. In short, members of the group experienced feelings of frustration, wondering what our purpose was supposed to be, and feeling discouraged by the reality that we simply could not meet so many of the needs we saw around us. That moment in Trenchtown became archetypical of a question that has lingered throughout my academic journey and community projects I've been a part of. Taking classes in international relations and development, I encountered many examples of development projects and service organizations unfortunately doing as much harm as good. So as an organization dedicated to service, the question I found myself repeatedly facing was, how do we help instead of hurt? The good news is that there is a way to do this. Robin and other friends, professors, and mentors have helped teach me how to do so. Over my 4 years at Sewanee, I've learned that the journey to answer a specific question often causes us to arrive at even more questions. That being said, in order to answer how we as an organization and even a society can be helpful rather than harmful, I've been redirected to the question of who am I and what's my place that started all of this to begin with. Bonner has helped show me that an overlooked component to a life of service is the quest of understanding yourself and being intentional about it. After wrestling with these types of questions about who I am and what role I'm meant to fulfill, I've realized that being in a state of uncertainty doesn't mean that you're lost or on the wrong path. Rather, being faced with choices is one of the most crucial aspects of growth. And now, as my precious time as a Sewanee student is drawing to a close, I'm aware of how certain aspects have come full circle. Thinking about my time with Man Up, I remember recognizing the importance of the site, but feeling unequipped to carry out the goals myself. I remember wondering whether or not I had the ability to show the young guys I worked with how to be a confident, compassionate, empathetic, and strong young man when I was so unsure how to do these things myself. Obviously, growth is never ending, but since my time at Man Up, I've learned a thing or two. Over the summer of 2019, a close friend and mentor of mine shared with me what being a man means to him: to bring order and light into chaos and darkness. To do this, it means practicing empathy, communicating openly, and having the courage to be vulnerable. At first, I was hesitant to take on the role of senior intern within the Bonner program, but working in this capacity has given me the space to utilize some of my greatest strengths, which are communicating with humans to navigate emotions, to practice vulnerability, and to exercise our empathy. At the end of the day, this is what so much of being a Bonner has meant for me, and I wholeheartedly believe that these practices are necessary in order to pursue a life of service.